Sarah Chen stood before the Galactic Council's towering crystal chamber, her diplomatic uniform crisp despite Terra Station's humid atmosphere. 200 representatives from across known space stared down at her, their varied anatomies creating a living tapestry of tentacles, feathers, and chromatic skin. Most wore expressions she'd learned to interpret as amusement. Ambassador Qin, the council speaker, a towering meridian with flowing silver robes, activated the central holo display. You have been selected for an unusual appointment. Sarah maintained her composure, though her heart raced. 6 years as Earth's youngest ambassador had taught her that unusual appointments often meant elaborate jokes at humanity's expense. I serve at the council's pleasure, she replied carefully. The holo display flickered, showing the image of a young Xeraxian female. Unlike the warrior race's typical crimson scales, hers were an iridescent white. Her forearms were thin, lacking the pronounced muscle structure prized by her species. This is Kara, daughter of Supreme Warlord Vexthor of the Xeraxian Empire, the speaker continued. The warlord has relinquished his parental rights. The council has selected you as her new guardian. Murmurs and clicking sounds, alien laughter, rippled through the chamber. Sarah understood the joke now. The Xeraxians were humanity's greatest critics in the Galactic Council, constantly arguing that humans were too primitive to participate in galactic affairs. Having a human raise a Xeraxian noble would be seen as the ultimate humiliation. May I ask why I was chosen? Sarah kept her voice steady, though anger burned in her chest. A Volosian representative floated forward, their gas-formed body swirling with mirth. The young one is defective. Her brain patterns show bizarre variations. She cannot process violence or aggression properly. For a Xeraxian, this is worse than death. We thought humans would there. They paused, searching for the right word. Excessive empathy might be suited to handle such a case. Sarah studied Kara's image more closely. The girl, she couldn't be more than 14 in human years, stood with her shoulders hunched, all forearms wrapped around herself protectively. Her eyes held intelligence and fear in equal measure. And if I refuse? She will be remanded to a rehabilitation facility in the Outer Rim, the speaker stated flatly. Though such facilities have a poor success rate with difficult cases. Sarah understood the unspoken message. They expected her to refuse, to prove humans lacked the courage to face real challenges. The council chamber waited, hundreds of alien eyes anticipating her embarrassment. Instead, Sarah straightened her spine and smiled. I accept guardianship of Kara, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. When can she arrive? The chamber erupted in chaos. The Xeraxian representative's scales flushed dark purple in rage. The speaker had to activate sonic dampeners to restore order. Ambassador Qin, the speaker's tone carried warning, perhaps you don't understand. This appointment would be permanent until Kara reaches majority, 30 Earth years. Your career dash will be exactly where it needs to be, Sarah interrupted. On Earth, we have a saying, family isn't about blood, it's about who you choose to protect. I choose to protect Kara. Later that evening, in her private quarters, Sarah reviewed Kara's complete file. The girl's defect was fascinating. Her brain patterns showed unprecedented levels of quantum entanglement, allowing her to perceive reality in ways her militaristic species couldn't comprehend. The Xeraxians had tried to fix her with neural suppressants and behavioral conditioning. Sarah's comm unit chimed. Her superior at the Earth Diplomatic Corps appeared, looking concerned. Qin, the council appointment is spreading through diplomatic channels. Half the Corps thinks you're crazy. The other half thinks you're brilliant. Care to tell me which it is? Sarah watched Kara's image rotate slowly on her holo display. Sir, do you remember why I joined the Corps? You said you wanted to prove humanity had something unique to offer the galaxy. Exactly. The council thinks they're punishing both of us, the defective alien and the primitive human. But they don't understand what humans do better than any species in known space. And what's that, Chen? Sarah smiled, already planning changes to her living quarters to accommodate a four-armed teenager. We see potential where others see problems. Kara doesn't need fixing. She needs someone who can help her discover who she really is. The council thinks this is a joke, but I have a feeling the punchline isn't going to be what they expect. The calm went silent for a moment. You really want to raise a Xeraxian? No, sir. I want to raise a child who's been told she's broken and show her, and the galaxy, that different isn't the same as wrong. Sarah began making lists in her head, teachers to consult, specialists in xenobiology, cultural adaptation experts. Besides, the council needs a reminder that humans don't just join games, we change how they're played. As she ended the comm, Sarah looked out her window at the massive form of Terra Station rotating against the star-filled backdrop. Somewhere out there, a scared young girl was being told her life was about to change. Well, Kara, Sarah whispered to the empty room, welcome to the family. Let's show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate both of us. 3 months into Kara's life on Terra Station, Sarah woke to the sound of quantum equations being muttered in the dark. She found her ward in the station's observation dome, all 4 hands tracing patterns in the air as she watched ships jump through hyperspace. The calculations are wrong, Kara said without turning, her white scales reflecting starlight. They're wasting so much energy. Sarah sat beside her, noting how Kara no longer flinched at close proximity. What do you mean? The jump equations. Everyone plots linear paths through hyperspace, but that's not how quantum fields work. Look. Kara's hands danced, drawing invisible patterns. The ships are forcing their way through. They should be dancing with the quantum foam instead. Sarah activated her data pad, recording as Kara spoke. Over the past months, she'd learned to trust these late-night insights. The girl's mind worked differently. She saw patterns in quantum mechanics that the greatest human scientists missed. But more importantly, she was finally learning to trust her perceptions rather than dismiss them as defects. Could you show me? Sarah asked, pulling up a holographic simulation of hyperspace mechanics. Kara hesitated, old fears flickering across her face. The tutors on Xyrax said I was delusional when I tried to explain. You're not on Xyrax anymore, Sarah reminded her gently. Here, we test ideas before judging them. Over the next hour, Kara manipulated the simulation, explaining concepts that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Sarah sent a copy to Dr. Lakshmi at the Quantum Propulsion Lab, adding it to their growing collection of Kara's insights. Ambassador Chin, a station AI chimed softly. Priority message from Earth Central Command. The message was brief but concerning. 3 Xeraxian warships had been detected at the edge of Sol space, officially on a training exercise. Sarah felt Kara tense beside her. They're coming for me, aren't they? Kara's voice was steady, but her scales had paled to an almost translucent white. They can try, Sarah replied, already composing messages to her diplomatic contacts. But you're under Earth's protection now. And humans are very, very good at protecting our own. Even defectives? Sarah turned to Kara, seeing not the scared child who'd arrived 3 months ago, but a young woman beginning to grasp her own worth. You're not defective. You're revolutionary. The Xyraxians couldn't understand your gift because they only see the universe in terms of conquest. You see it as it really is, a dance of quantum possibilities. A small smile crossed Kara's face, an expression she'd learned from Sarah. Is that why you took me in? Because you saw potential? I took you in because no child deserves to be thrown away, Sarah answered honestly. The potential was just a bonus. Now, how about we make breakfast and you can tell me more about these quantum dances of yours? As they walked to the residence section, Sarah's data pad chimed with Dr. Lakshmi's response. These equations, they're revolutionary. If they work, they could cut hyperspace energy consumption by 60%. The girl's not seeing things, she's seeing everything we've missed. How soon can you bring her to Earth? Sarah looked at Kara, who was explaining to the station AI how its molecular coffee synthesizer could be more efficient. A plan began forming in her mind. The Xyraxians thought they could simply reclaim their defective daughter. The Galactic Council thought they'd saddled Earth with a burden. They were all about to learn an important lesson about humanity. Give us someone you've discarded, and we'll show you the treasure you were too blind to see. Kara, Sarah called, how would you like to meet some Earth scientists? I think it's time to show the galaxy exactly what makes you special. Kara's secondary arms wrapped around herself, an old nervous habit, but her primary arms reached for Sarah's data pad, already eager to share more insights. Outside the station's windows, the stars seemed to pulse with possibility, as if they too were eager to reveal their secrets to the girl who could see their quantum dance. The quantum propulsion lab on Earth hummed with energy as Kara presented her findings to a stunned audience of Earth's top physicists. Her four hands moved in perfect synchronization, manipulating complex holographic models of quantum fields while Sarah watched proudly from the back of the room. By treating hyperspace as a quantum dance partner rather than an obstacle, Kara explained, her confidence growing with each word, we can reduce energy consumption and increase jump precision by orders of magnitude. Dr. Lakshmi stepped forward, her dark eyes shining with excitement. We've already validated the basic principles. These aren't just theories, they're revolutionary facts. With Kara's insights, we could dash. The presentation stopped as emergency lights flooded the room red. Sarah's diplomatic comm buzzed with urgent priority. 3 Xeraxian diplomatic shuttles had just broken Earth's atmosphere without clearance. Security breach in Sectors 7 and 9, the facility AI announced calmly. Unknown entities have bypassed primary defenses. Sarah was already moving, pulling Kara away from the stage. Quantum lockdown, she commanded, using her emergency protocols. The lab's sensitive equipment powered down, holographic data disappearing into encrypted storage. They're here for me, Kara whispered, her scales shifting to a pale gray of fear. Father must have discovered what I can do. They're not taking you anywhere, Sarah assured her, leading them through a hidden security corridor. She'd planned for this since day one, knowing the Xeraxians would eventually realize what they'd thrown away. Dr. Lakshmi, initiate protocol sanctuary. The physicist nodded grimly, her fingers flying over control panels. Throughout the facility, quantum encryption fields sprang to life, technology based on Kara's own insights, invisible to conventional Xeraxian scanners. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors, the distinctive sound of Xeraxian combat armor. Sarah pressed a small quantum beacon into Kara's hands. Remember what we practiced? Kara nodded, all 4 hands clutching the beacon. Her voice shook but held determination. I am not property. I am not defective. I am a person with rights under Earth law and Galactic Council conventions. And a small smile, even in crisis. And humans are very good at changing the rules. The security door burst open. Commander Vexthal, Kara's older brother, stood framed in the doorway, his crimson scales darkening with rage. Return the defective one, he demanded. By imperial decree, she must be rehabilitated. Sarah stepped forward, her diplomatic training giving way to something more primal, the human instinct to protect. Your imperial decrees have no authority here. Kara is under Earth's protection. She is Xeraxian. She is a child seeking asylum from abuse, Sarah countered. And she has already contributed more to scientific understanding than your entire warrior culture. Vexthal's scales flushed darker. She is spreading corruption. Her diseased thoughts about quantum mechanics threaten proper military doctrine. The Empire cannot allow dash. The Empire, Kara's voice rang out clearly, is afraid. You're not here because I'm defective. You're here because I'm proof that your understanding of the universe is wrong. Sarah felt a surge of pride. The scared girl who'd arrived on Terra Station was gone, replaced by someone who finally understood her own worth. Vexthal raised his weapon. You will return to the Empire for correction. Actually, a new voice spoke as quantum fields shimmed into visibility. She won't. Dr. Lakshmi stood with a team of Earth security forces, their weapons charged with Kara's quantum-enhanced technology. These weapons bypassed Xeraxian shields completely. Care to test them? Sarah watched Vexthal's face as he realized the truth. They hadn't come to rescue a defective child. They'd come to recapture a scientific prodigy whose insights threatened their entire power structure. His scales paled with fear. The Galactic Council will hear of this, he snarled, backing away. Yes, Sarah smiled diplomatically, they will. They'll hear how Earth protected a gifted child from abuse. how human scientists partnered with her to revolutionize space travel, and how the mighty Zyraxian Empire tried to kidnap a teenager because they feared her ideas. After the Zyraxians retreated, Kara collapsed into Sarah's arms, all four hands shaking. They'll try again. Of course they will. Sarah stroked her ward-scaled head. But next time we'll be ready. Because you've given us something they'll never understand. Quantum mechanics? Hope, Sarah corrected. You've shown us that the universe is more beautiful and complex than anyone imagined. And humans? We'll fight like hell to protect that kind of discovery. Outside, Earth's quantum defense grid hummed with new power, based on the insights of a child the Zyraxians had discarded. Sarah held Kara closer, knowing the real battle, the political one, was just beginning. But that was okay. After all, humans had a long history of changing the galaxy's rules. And they were about to change them again. She is a child seeking asylum from abuse, Sarah countered. And she has already contributed more to scientific understanding than your entire warrior culture. Vexthal's scales flushed darker. She is spreading corruption. Her diseased thoughts about quantum mechanics threaten proper military doctrine. The Empire cannot allow dash. The Empire, Kara's voice rang out clearly, is afraid. You're not here because I'm defective. You're here because I'm proof that your understanding of the universe is wrong. Sarah felt a surge of pride. The scared girl who'd arrived on Terra Station was gone, replaced by someone who finally understood her own worth. Vexthal raised his weapon. You will return to the Empire for correction. Actually, a new voice spoke as quantum fields shimmed into visibility. She won't. Dr. Lakshmi stood with a team of Earth security forces, their weapons charged with Kara's quantum-enhanced technology. These weapons bypassed Zyraxian shields completely. Care to test them? Sarah watched Vexthal's face as he realized the truth. They hadn't come to rescue a defective child. They'd come to recapture a scientific prodigy whose insights threatened their entire power structure. His scales paled with fear. The Galactic Council will hear of this, he snarled, backing away. Yes, Sarah smiled diplomatically, they will. They'll hear how Earth protected a gifted child from abuse. How human scientists partnered with her to revolutionize space travel. And how the mighty Zyraxian Empire tried to kidnap a teenager because they feared her ideas. After the Zyraxians retreated, Kara collapsed into Sarah's arms, all four hands shaking. They'll try again. Of course they will. Sarah stroked her ward-scaled head. But next time we'll be ready. Because you've given us something they'll never understand. Quantum mechanics? Hope, Sarah corrected. You've shown us that the universe is more beautiful and complex than anyone imagined. And humans? We'll fight like hell to protect that kind of discovery. Outside, Earth's quantum defense grid hummed with new power, based on the insights of a child the Zyraxians had discarded. Sarah held Kara closer, knowing the real battle, the political one, was just beginning. But that was okay. After all, humans had a long history of changing the galaxy's rules. And they were about to change them again. Sarah stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council, her diplomatic uniform bearing new quantum tech enhancements, a subtle reminder of Earth's technological leap. Kara sat beside her, poised and calm despite the hundreds of alien eyes judging her. The Zyraxian Empire, Sarah began, has violated multiple council laws. They attempted to kidnap a legal asylum seeker, breached Earth's sovereign space, and threatened violence against a recognized diplomatic protectorate. The Zyraxian ambassador, Dexthor, rose on his cybernetic legs. We were recovering damaged property. The defective one's corrupted thoughts about quantum mechanics threaten established order. Corrupted thoughts? Dr. Lakshmi stepped forward, her holographic presence flickering with barely contained anger. Let me show you what those thoughts have achieved. The chamber's central display came alive with data. Ships using Kara's quantum navigation principles required 60% less energy for hyperspace jumps. Quantum communication networks based on her insights transmitted data instantly across light years. But most importantly, the display showed something that made the council chamber fall silent, a working prototype of a quantum shield that could protect entire planets from asteroid impacts. This is why you want her back, Sarah declared. Not because she's defective, but because she sees what your rigid military doctrine cannot, the true quantum nature of our universe. Kara stood, her white scales gleaming under the chamber lights. I request permission to address the council. The speaker, clearly surprised, nodded. For years, I believed I was broken. Kara's voice carried clearly. My people saw my ability to perceive quantum relationships as a flaw. But humanity. She glanced at Sarah with all four eyes. They saw it as a gift. They didn't try to fix me. They helped me understand myself. This is emotional manipulation, Dexthor snarled. Typical human corruption. No, Kara replied calmly. This is growth. Humans taught me something the Empire never could, that diversity of thought drives innovation. Every breakthrough I've made came because I think differently, not in spite of it. Sarah watched the council members' reactions. Many were leaning forward, interested. Some were already entering data into their consoles, likely calculating the economic implications of Kara's discoveries. The Empire demands her return, Dexthor insisted. She is Xeraxian. She is her own person, Sarah countered. And she has chosen Earth as her home. Under council law, any sentient being may seek asylum when facing persecution for innate biological traits. The chamber erupted in debate. Sarah had carefully chosen her words, invoking one of the council's oldest and most fundamental laws. A law written to protect persecuted minorities across the galaxy. The speaker raised all four hands for silence. Ambassador Chin raises a valid legal point. Furthermore, the scientific evidence suggests Kara's quantum insights are indeed an innate trait, not a defect. Then let us propose a solution. Sarah stepped forward. Earth will establish a quantum research institute with Kara as lead researcher. All discoveries will be shared with council races, except those who attempt to harm her. The implications were clear. Access to revolutionary quantum technology would only come through cooperation, not coercion. The human shows wisdom, a Meridian representative noted. This benefits all while protecting individual rights. More voices joined in support. Sarah felt Kara relax slightly beside her as the council's mood shifted. They'd done it, transformed a kidnapping attempt into a diplomatic victory. Dexthor stood to object, but the speaker cut him off. The council recognizes Kara's asylum status and approves the establishment of the Earth Quantum Research Institute. Furthermore, any future attempts to coerce or harm Kara will result in severe sanctions. Later, in their private chamber, Kara hugged Sarah with all four arms. How did you know it would work? Sarah smiled. Because I understand something about humans that the council is just beginning to learn. We don't just solve problems, we transform them into opportunities. They thought giving you to Earth was a punishment. Instead, it became the catalyst for a new era of quantum science. And a new family, Kara added softly. That too, Sarah agreed, thinking of how far they'd come from that first day in the council chamber. That too. Outside their window, Earth's new quantum defense grid shimmered with invisible power, a testament to what could happen when humanity's compassion met with alien insight. The galaxy was changing, one quantum dance at a time. The Xeraxian Empire's final move came not with warships or assassins, but with data, terabytes of classified research flooding into Earth's quantum networks. Sarah stared at her holographic display, reading reports that made her blood run cold. They weren't trying to create warriors, she whispered, as Kara worked with Dr. Lakshmi in the adjacent lab. They were trying to create quantum navigators. The classified files revealed decades of genetic manipulation. The Xeraxian Empire had been attempting to engineer children who could perceive quantum states, hoping to gain an advantage in space warfare. Kara wasn't a defect, she was their only success. But instead of celebrating, they'd branded her broken when she refused to weaponize her gift. Ambassador Chin, the lab AI announced, priority message from the Galactic Council. The speaker's image appeared, looking grave. The Empire has filed a formal genetic ownership claim. They assert that Kara is technically their intellectual property, as she resulted from their research program. Sarah's hands clenched. They're trying to use patent law to reclaim a person? The council must consider all legal claims, the speaker replied carefully. A hearing is scheduled for tomorrow. In the lab, Kara was explaining a new quantum communication principle to a team of human scientists, her four hands dancing through holographic equations. She'd grown so much in the past year, confident, brilliant, happy. Sarah wouldn't let anyone take that away. Speaker, Sarah's voice was steel, prepare for an Earth delegation. And inform the Empire that if they want a legal battle, they'll learn why human lawyers are feared across 3 spiral arms. The hearing chamber was packed. Representatives from every council race attended, sensing the historic implications. The Xeraxian legal team presented their case first, displaying complex genetic maps and research protocols. The quantum perception abilities were artificially engineered, their advocate argued. By galactic patent law, the resulting product belongs to the Empire. Sarah stood, and the chamber quieted. She'd spent all night preparing for this moment, working with Earth's best xenolawyers to craft their defense. The Empire's claim rests on 3 assumptions, she began. First, that their genetic modifications created Kara-S abilities. Second, that these abilities can be considered intellectual property. And third, that a sentient being can be owned. She gestured, and new data filled the displays. Earth's genetic analysis shows the Empire didn't create Kara-S quantum perception. They activated latent genes present in all Xeraxians. Genes that their warrior culture had suppressed over millennia of selecting for aggression over insight. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Empire's advocates shifted uncomfortably. Furthermore, Sarah continued, council precedent established in the Clone Rights Act of 2184 explicitly states that genetic engineering cannot create ownership rights over sentient beings. Kara is not a product. She is a person who has revolutionized our understanding of quantum mechanics through her own brilliant work. She pulled up images of Kara-S achievements, the quantum shields protecting colony worlds, the new hyperspace lanes that had cut transportation costs in half, the breakthroughs in quantum computing that were transforming galactic communication. The Empire claims ownership of her abilities? Fine. But they cannot own her mind, her creativity, or her choice to use those abilities for the benefit of all species rather than weapon development. The chamber erupted in discussion. Sarah noticed several previously neutral representatives nodding in agreement. There is another matter, the speaker announced. We have received a petition signed by 300 of the galaxy's leading quantum physicists. They assert that forcing Kara to return to the Empire would constitute a crime against science itself. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The scientific community had rallied behind Kara, recognizing that her insights transcended politics. The Empire's advocate rose again. If we cannot claim ownership, we demand compensation for our research investment. Granted, Sarah replied immediately, surprising everyone. Earth will compensate the Empire for their genetic research costs, in exchange for full access to their research data to help identify and support other potential quantum perceivers among their population. It was a masterstroke. The Empire couldn't refuse without admitting their true motives weren't scientific. They'd either have to accept payment and risk more of their children developing Kara-S defect, or withdraw their claim entirely. The council chambers buzzed with appreciation for the elegant diplomatic solution. Even the speaker's crest showed colors of approval. The Empire. Their advocate struggled, requests time to consider this proposal. Granted, the speaker declared. Until then, all claims of ownership are dismissed. Kara remains under Earth's protection. Later, watching Kara work in her lab, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. The Empire had tried to own a person, but they'd fundamentally misunderstood both human nature and the power of choice. They'll try something else, Kara noted, not looking up from her equations. Probably, Sarah agreed. But they'll never understand why they keep failing. Why is that? Because you can't own a quantum dance, Sarah smiled, using Kara's own metaphor. You can only join it. And humans? We're really good at learning new dances. The quantum fields around them pulsed with possibility, as if agreeing with the sentiment. 1 year after the council hearing, Sarah stood with Kara aboard humanity's first quantum-class research vessel, the Paradigm Shift. Through the bridge's panoramic windows, they watched as hundreds of ships from across the galaxy gathered for the demonstration. Are you ready? Sarah asked, noting how Kara's white scales now shimmered with confidence rather than fear. I've been ready my whole life, Kara replied, her 4 hands moving in practiced harmony across the quantum interface she'd designed. I just needed someone to believe in me first. The ship's quantum core hummed to life, a revolutionary design that incorporated Kara's understanding of space-time as a dance partner rather than an obstacle. On the main viewer, representatives from every council race watched, including a delegation from the Xeraxian Empire who'd finally accepted they couldn't control their greatest scientific mind. Quantum navigation systems online, the ship's AI announced. All parameters nominal. Dr. Lakshmi, now the head of Earth's Quantum Research Institute, stepped forward. Today, we demonstrate not just new technology, but a new way of thinking. Kara's insights have shown us that the universe isn't a battlefield to be conquered, but a partner in exploration. The demonstration was simple but revolutionary. The paradigm shift would attempt to cross 5,000 light-years in a single quantum jump, something previously thought impossible. But Kara had shown that by working with quantum fields rather than forcing them, the laws of physics became more guidelines than barriers. Beginning quantum alignment, Kara announced, her hands dancing through the holographic controls. Around the ship, space itself seemed to ripple like water disturbed by a gentle touch. Sarah watched the Empire's representatives closely. Their scales showed shades of regret, finally understanding what they'd thrown away in their rigid adherence to warrior tradition. But more interesting were the younger Xeraxians behind them, their eyes fixed on Kara with something like hope. They're coming forward now, Kara said quietly, between commands. More like me. The Empire can't hide them anymore. She was right. In the year since the hearing, dozens of young Xeraxians had shown signs of quantum perception. Instead of being labeled defective, they were now being sent to Earth to study under Kara at the Institute. The Empire's attempt to own her had inadvertently sparked a cultural revolution. Quantum resonance achieved, the AI reported. Jump coordinates locked. Kara looked to Sarah, who nodded encouragingly. This moment wasn't just about proving technology, it was about proving that difference wasn't defect, that compassion wasn't weakness, and that humanity's greatest strength was seeing potential where others saw problems. Initiating quantum jump, Kara commanded. The universe seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a shimmer of quantum fields, the paradigm shift danced. There was no violent thrust of conventional hyperdrives, no strain against space-time. The ship simply flowed through quantum reality like a leaf on a stream. When they reappeared, the gasps were audible across all communication channels. They'd not only reached their target, they'd done it with less energy than a conventional ship used to cross a single light-year. Position confirmed, the AI announced. 5,012 light-years traversed. All systems nominal. Jump efficiency rated at 99.98%. The council chambers erupted in celebration. Even the Empire's representatives couldn't hide their amazement. In one jump, Kara had revolutionized galactic travel. The council recognizes, the speaker's voice rang out, that this achievement represents more than technological advancement. It represents the power of diversity, cooperation, and the recognition that different perspectives lead to greater understanding. Sarah smiled as she saw Kara stand taller, finally and completely free of the shame her people had tried to instill. Ready to head home? She asked. Kara grinned, a very human expression she'd adopted. Actually, I was thinking, with this new drive, we could reach the Andromeda Galaxy in a few jumps. Imagine what we might discover there. First, Sarah laughed, let's get through the celebration. I hear the entire quantum physics community wants to throw you a party. As they prepared for the return jump, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. The council had given her Kara as a joke, thinking to burden humanity with a broken child. Instead, they'd given Earth its greatest gift, proof that compassion, combined with courage, could change the very fabric of reality. You know, Kara said as her hands danced through another perfect quantum jump, I never thanked you properly. For seeing me when everyone else looked away. That's the thing about humans, Sarah replied, watching the quantum field shimmer around them. We don't just see what is. We see what could be. And sometimes, that makes all the difference in the universe. The paradigm shift danced through quantum space, carrying its crew home to a galaxy that would never be quite the same, thanks to one human who refused to accept limitations and one alien who learned that being different meant being extraordinary.